What's up, guys? This is the first of a three-part video series showing how I got from this to this. So these are the original taillight housings from my 2008 Tesla Roadster. Took the lenses out and I made these new carbon fiber enclosures. I'm breaking up into three parts because there's just so much to go over. This video will be about making the molds from the original parts. Second video will be about casting new parts from those molds. And the third video will be finishing those parts, bonding everything together, final assembly, and installing them on the car. So these taillights are kind of the holy grail of carbon fiber exterior accessories for the Roadster. People have been talking about doing this since the Roadster was first on the streets in 2010. And so far, only one other person has done it. So before we go any further, I want to give a quick plug, literally a plug to a person who deserves a mention here. If you want to charge a Tesla Roadster, it's very different from charging a modern Tesla. Modern Tesla being any Tesla model made since the Roadster. So there's a new, well, the standard Tesla plug, if you haven't seen it before. And here's the Roadster's charge port. They don't quite go together, do they? This came out before there were any standards on the charging networks like J1772 or the CHAdeMO plugs. This is before all that. That is not the current standard. So the only way to make this work with a Roadster is to use this adapter. So you plug the Tesla plug into this side, and you twist the Roadster end into the Roadster, just like that. How is this relevant to taillights? Well, look at that right there. If you own a Roadster, you know what this is and who makes it. Henry Sharp is the guy who makes these adapters. And he's also the only person, aside from myself, who has successfully made these in carbon fiber. These are his. I bought these from him about, I think, a year and a half ago. As of the end of last year, he's decided that it's no longer worth his time to do it. They're incredibly time-consuming to make, and so he's passed the torch. Let's get into why this is so challenging to do. It doesn't look that hard from from the outside, literally, but I promise you, you see the taillight enclosure from the back of the car. And you might think, well, this is a pretty straightforward shape, right? It's just you got a flat surface there, got a few creases here. These look kind of like eyelids, and you have the lens buckets. I mean, this should be relatively easy to cast in one piece, right? Yeah, you might think that. And then you just take the lenses, you bolt them into place, and then you figure out a way to mount this to the car. If only it were that simple. Look at the back side. Things get a little more complicated here. You see the backs of the buckets. There are mounting tabs sticking up off of them. You can see that it kind of stands off from the back of the bucket. You got one here as well. This one's interesting. This is where the outermost lens mounts. This guy right here. This thing has little snap fasteners on the sides. They snap in there and there. You need this in order to have this properly installed. I mean, I could imagine that if you were willing to go cheap, you could just forego this and use adhesive to bond this in the enclosure, but that's cheating. So you need to reproduce this somehow. There's also a mounting tab here for the wiring harness to snap onto. This thing right here, the wires are out of it right now, obviously, but this actually snaps on like that. You don't really need it. You could probably get away with zip tying this to, say, there, but to be as close to original as possible, I'm going to reproduce this in carbon fiber as well. Yeah, this shape is very, very complex, and to do it right requires a few tricks. So when you first start making a mold, the first step is to create a flange. A flange on the mold enables a technique called vacuum infusion to make your parts. You'll see why later, why it's important to have a really wide flange. To make the flanges, I use signboard. I'll either buy it from Amazon in bulk, or I'll go to City Hall after an election and just take all the signs I can get from candidates who don't go back and pick up their signs. I'm doing a public service. Here's one signboard that I've already used. I don't know who this person was, I didn't vote for them. I just like their sign. You cut the signboard and then hot glue it to the back side of your part that you want to reproduce, and then you spray. Well, first you wax it. You use lots of wax on the board and the part itself. There's a few options as far as waxes go. The one that I like using most is this one. It's called Partall Paste Wax number 2. McGuire's used to make a mold release wax. They since sold the license, I guess the licensing to this product to a company called Stoner. So now it's called Stoner Molding Solutions. It's the same formula, same wax, but I like the Partall a lot better. So take your wax, apply it liberally on the part and the signboard. Once that's dry, then I come back and spray PVA, which is polyvinyl alcohol. This stuff dries to a very, very thin film. It's water soluble, so it creates a very nice barrier. So while our PVA is drying, let's go ahead and mix up some gel coat that is very orange, which is also a roaster color. The reason you want it to be a bright color is because when you're laying up carbon fiber, say you have all these loose strands on the piece you're laying in there, these strands can fall out, put the fabric over it, make your part, pop it out of the mold, and you see this beautiful part with a loose strand embedded into the surface, and you can't get it out. So having a bright contrasting color makes it easier for you to check and make sure that your mold surface is clean and free of any potential defects. Let's do 8 ounces. Need our MEKP, this stuff, methyl ethyl ketone peroxide, container slash dispenser here, which I bought yesterday. You do not want this stuff on your bare skin or even close to your eyes. It will burn. If it's bad enough, it can make you blind. Look at that, nice and thick. 5 cc's. There we go. Supposed to mix it up for about 2 good minutes. I want to make sure it's thoroughly mixed, otherwise you'll have spots that don't cure, and then when you demold the part, the gel coat will just lift off. That's one of the most frustrating things about making molds, is that you spend all this time laying up all the plies of fiberglass, mixing up quarts and quarts of resin, and days later you find out that it was all for nothing. Here we go. We're just going to brush it on. I'm going to start with the perimeter. Come on to the part itself now. Nice and sloppy. So the first coat isn't gonna give you full coverage. We'll come back in about half an hour and add a second coat on. Whew, it's high times in here right now. Stuff smells really strong. Let's let this cure. About 2 hours after spraying the final coat of gel coat, I did end up spraying the last coat because it was just impossible to brush into these very tiny nooks and crannies. So the gel coat has pretty much cured. You can run a finger over that with a little bit of tackiness, but there's no gel coat lifting off. We've already got some vinyl ester resin mixed up here. So now we can start brushing some resin. I like to make the flanges nice and thick. Part area itself just needs to be strong enough to hold its shape during vacuum. But having extra rigid flanges helps with that. This is good. All right, I'll start brushing this out. Yeah, with the fiberglass mat and vinyl ester resin, it just soaks in. The reason for that is that the chop strand mat is actually held together with a styrene adhesive, or they call it a binder. It just happens that polyester and vinyl ester resin are based on styrene. So when you add the resin to the mat, it literally dissolves the binder and the resin is very nicely absorbed. Very important to have no air bubbles or voids in the coupling coat. The subsequent coats are mainly for bulk. They don't need to be completely air-free. It's ideal if they are, but it's already getting hard. You can feel it. When you see orange, it means that the fabric is, well, the mat is completely wetted out. The reason that it becomes transparent is because all the fibers spread out evenly when resin is applied. So it becomes a transparent layer. You can see what's underneath. And that's how you know that you've achieved a good wet out. So these taillight molds look like they are done. So let's demold these and see how they look. The best way to go is from this corner. It's already coming up. That's good. It's really good. Oh wow, look at that. Just nice and slow. Oh man, this mold is looking really nice. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we have release. Moment of truth. Nice. Very nice. The wax even stayed there. Now we're going to do the driver's side. Okay. So again. Nice. Whoa. No way. Perfect. There's no fiberglass or gel coat on the part. Keyhole detail is perfect. You got that plus shape where the cylinder goes in. Oh yeah. Very nice details. We're gonna make some nice taillights from this mold. I need to do the back sides as well. And looking at this part, I was trying to find ways to mold this while keeping the mounting tabs. By doing a multi-piece mold, putting a flange like right there and there. This doesn't work. How are you going to get the fabric in there nice and tight, and when you infuse the part, ensure that the resin is going to get into that very, very thin cavity completely? It's just not going to happen. I really didn't want to do this, but the only way to do it and have proper results is to cut off all these tabs. So our mold for the back side of the driver's side taillight is finally complete and ready for demolding. So it's going to look like this one over here, with the addition of the keyhole for the truck release. Very nice. Okay. Really good. Cool. Coming out. It's coming out. Yes. There's no residue on the back side of this. This looks good. So that's how the molds are made. And the next step is to actually make the parts. And that's going to be the topic of the next video. We're going to show how we go from these to these. So watch out for the next video where I show how we use these molds to make brand new carbon fiber taillight enclosures. Thanks for watching.